and a barrier in between. What are you going to do with this hadith? And if you put the woman at the back and the men at the front, and you build a barrier in between, you put a big wooden barrier, what are you going to do with this hadith? The only way that this hadith becomes understandable is if men and women pray in the same space. And men are at the front and women at the back. So the first row of the women would be close to the last row of the men. And because of the physical proximity, there is danger. That is why the Prophet said this is the worst. Why did Allah put the men in the front and the women at the back? Is it because men are superior to women? Your wife has more fear of Allah than you have. Your wife is a better Muslim than you are. How could you be superior to her? All of mankind will stand before Allah on the last day as equal in His sight as are the teeth of a comb. Said the Prophet ﷺ. The teeth of a comb. So no superiority of the male over the female except taqwa, the fear of Allah. So if the wife has more fear of Allah than the husband, she stands taller. And if the husband has more fear of Allah than the wife, he stands taller. But Allah has made it obligatory on men to maintain women and men to guard and protect women. And therefore He made it obligatory on women to be obedient to their guardians, to their husbands. And this is the one stage or one rung of the ladder that Allah has given to the men over the women. Alayhinna daraja, He said, daraja. That the woman has to be obedient to her husband. But is this the reason why the men are in front and the women behind? Men are the hunters. Women are the hunted. Except now in America, women are beyond hunters now. Men are the hunters and women are the hunted. This is the natural, the fitra of the male and the female. If you put the woman at the back and the men at the front, it is still possible for a woman to concentrate on her prayer. And to worship her Lord. And to perform her salat. But if you put the woman at the front and the men at the back, you go to an old mass. Because the men will not be able to concentrate on their prayer. So great is Allah's wisdom. Great is Allah's wisdom. So Allah's messenger put the men in the front and the women in the back. And Dr. Amina Wadud put herself in front of all the men. I don't have to go to anything else in the Quran and Sunnah apart from this one hadith. This is enough. Number two, men and women don't pray in the same line. How you could have men and women pray in the same line when you have to jam up? You have to jam like an unbroken wall, no space in between. Huh? You're mad or you're stupid? How you could have men and women in the same line? That's what she did. I've known Amina Wudud for a long time now, and I've known that this is an awesomely misguided woman. She wrote the book Women in Islam. Read it, you'll see it. An awesomely misguided sister. But she's a Muslim. And we can only pray that she may be guided aright. What she has done is something wrong. Something to be rejected and something to be condemned. Now we've finished with the questions now. Now's the time for your comments on what do you think about the seminar so far, and secondly, about how should we respond to the challenges of money in the world today.
I believe we should educate our children and ourselves in a different form in going about achieving, banking, and holding possession, so that the future understanding may be basic, not in the elders alone, but the children will have that basic understanding to carry out. In this way, they are growing with the knowledge to understand world economics and how to keep the body of the people together. It's my position.
Well, might be a good idea to repeat the seminar for school children. Huh? And of course, don't utilize any terminology, it will be difficult for them. Be a good idea to repeat the seminar for the young ones. I agree with you. That's why in the Muslim village we'll give a preference to young people to come and buy a plot of land at NHA prices. And if you don't have the money to pay, we'll give you time to pay. And if you're really poor, we'll make it a qard hasana. So after 7 years, whatever you have not paid is written off. Any other comments? We don't want questions now. Sisters, I can't hear you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Just a comment about the banks and the risk that you had mentioned. I mean, after hearing you speak, I realize now that when you go to take out a loan with the bank, they ask for collateral as well as a rate of interest paid back on that money. So basically what the banks do is that they're making a riskless gain. They're taking on no risk at all at loaning you money.
Well, they're minimizing their risks.
Okay. And another point that I wanted to bring up as well, because it is of concern to me, about the Islamic Bank. Having studied a little bit about finance, one would notice that the value of money actually falls with time. And the interest rate that is set by the banks, as it gets higher, it reduces the value of money as well. So it's two things, the interest rate and time. So the system actually supports itself. So an Islamic bank that's actually trying to carry out murabaha, I think the term is, cannot do it in an Islamic way and survive within the system. I don't believe so anyway. So it'll have to be taken out of the present system and into the Muslim village. And I think that's the only way to work.
Okay, in the United States, Imam Warisuddin Muhammad has used this argument that bank interest compensates for inflation. The value of the money fall in, so the interest is to make back what you lose in. Our problem with that, two haram don't make a halal. This is haram and that is haram. It can make a halal. The way to respond to it is to recognize the paper money to be haram and remove the inflation, therefore, the falling value of money. Not the prices going up, stupidity. It's the value of the money going down. And then also remove the riba. And bring back the Quran and Sunnah. That's the way. Any more comments? Okay. If there are no more comments, do please remember to write your assessment before you leave. And put your name and your telephone number so we can contact you. And do please offer yourself as a volunteer to help us to organize the next repeat seminar on the last Sunday of May, inshallah, right here in this hall. And I thank you very much for coming. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم أرنا الحق حقا ورزقنا اتباعه. O Allah, kindly show us truth as truth. Grant that we might recognize it as truth and to follow it. وَأَرِنَا الْبَاطِلَ بَاطِلًا وَارْزُقْنَا اجْتِنَابَهُ. And O Allah, kindly take the veils from off our eyes and show us falsehood as falsehood. And grant us the capacity to recognize it as falsehood and to turn away from it and to reject it and to struggle against it regardless of the price we may have to pay. Allahumma arina al-ashya'a kama hiya. O Allah, kindly show us things as they are, that we might not be deceived by what they appear to be. Allahumma salli ala